I'm Azaria Tagaya, and this is Nightline. Top stories. 171 Rohingya detainees still at large. Police mount roadblocks. And Singapore to execute disabled Malaysian Nagaenthran next Wednesday. Good morning. The Immigration Department and police have been ordered to investigate the reason why some 500 Rohingya refugees escaped from a detention centre in Kedah. Home Minister Datuk Sri Hamzah Zainuddin said he had ordered an immediate probe to be done on the incident. The Home Minister also directed all enforcement agencies under the ministry to mount a manhunt to nab those still at large. Datuk Sri Hamzah explained that the escapees are Rohingya refugees who were transferred from a detention camp in Langkawi after they were arrested for trespassing Malaysian waters in 2020. They were arrested for violating the Immigration Act for entering the country illegally and without valid documents. Datuk Sri Hamzah also reiterated that Malaysia does not recognise refugees as Malaysia is not a signatory of the Refugee Convention 1951. He added that their presence in the country is only allowed on humanitarian grounds. Datuk Sri Hamzah also reminded foreigners to abide by Malaysian laws at all times, adding that to protect the sovereignty of the country and the interests of the people, Malaysia will act against anyone who violates the laws of the country. Six of the 528 Rohingya detainees who escaped from the Sungai Bakap Immigration Detention Depot died on the spot after being hit by vehicles while crossing the southbound North-South Expressway near Jawi early on Wednesday. Pulau Pinang Police Chief Datuk Muhammad Shuhaili Muhammad Zain said the six detainees who perished in the 6:50 a.m. incident comprised of 2 men, 2 women, a boy and a girl.
2 lelaki dewasa, 2 wanita dewasa, 1 kanak-kanak perempuan, 1 kanak-kanak lelaki. So jumlah yang terlibat dalam kemalangan ialah sebanyak 6 orang. Mereka tidak lagi berani untuk melintas lebuh raya dan mengambil keputusan untuk menyusuri lebuh raya sehingga ke mana destinasi itu dia pun tak pasti. So akhirnya mereka dapat ditahan di sini.
Datuk Shuhaili said all of them were recaptured after members of the public who saw them alerted the police. He added police managed to recapture 229 of them along the highway, while 88 others were recaptured earlier by villagers and Immigration Department personnel not far from the depot. The police were in the midst of locating the remaining escapees, who also include children and senior citizens. Meanwhile, in an effort to recapture the detainees, the Kedah police have launched an operation dubbed Op Kesan to track down the remaining 171 Rohingya detainees who are still on the loose. Kedah Police Chief Commissioner Wan Hassan Wahan Ahmad said the 171 detainees comprised 131 men, 28 women and 12 boys. Apart from the Kedah police, he said the operations would also involve the Pulau Pinang and Perak police forces, as well as the Immigration Department, General Operations Force, GOF, and the police K9 unit. He also said police are also launching Op Tutup, which will see 4 roadblocks mounted in Seberang Perai Selatan, 4 in Bandar Baru and 5 in Kulim. Meanwhile, Immigration Director General Datuk Sri Khairul Zaimi Daud said the detainees used brute force to break out of the detention centre early on Wednesday. He said the foreign inmates did not use any tools to break the doors and barrier grills. He added the depot, which was leased last year with a capacity of up to 700 detainees, was tightly controlled by the department and RELA. He said 61 immigration personnel and 45 RELA staff had been assigned to guard the depot, with another 15 personnel on standby at every shift rotation. The Hijra 24 plan that was launched on Wednesday is believed to be able to revive the business and investment activities of Lembaga Tabung Haji to ensure the continuity and excellence of TH. Prime Minister Datuk Sri Ismail Sabri Yaakob said he was told that the plan was developed in line with the values and characteristics of Keluarga Malaysia, which inculcated the values of inclusiveness, togetherness and gratitude.
Hijra 24 merupakan pelan transformasi strategik TH 2022-2024 bagi memacu organisasi untuk 3 tahun ke hadapan, terutamanya dalam menempuh cabaran yang mendatang. Saya difahamkan pelan ini merangkumi 24 inisiatif strategik untuk mencapai aspirasi TH dengan tumpuan kepada pengukuhan struktur takbir urus korporat, operasi serta didorong oleh inisiatif digitalisasi.
Datuk Seri Ismail Sabri said this when launching the Hijra 24 plan on Wednesday. Through Hijra 24, TH has set several main targets, namely increasing the size of the fund to 100 billion ringgit by 2024 and increasing the number of depositors to cover more than 50% of Malaysia's Muslim population. Also targeted are the distribution of profits to depositors at a rate in excess of 0.75% of the Islamic rate of return, an increase in users of THI Jari to more than 4 million, customer satisfaction index exceeding 90% and member engagement index exceeding 75%. The Prime Minister said the government placed high hopes on Tabung Haji and would continue to provide assistance for its efforts and initiatives for the interests of Hajj pilgrims and Muslims. About 64% of companies in Malaysia use a contingent workforce when experiencing a headcount shortage. The most common reason for adopting a contingent workforce is that it offers flexibility to workforce planning and helps to fill specialised roles without disruptions to operations. These were the findings of HR solutions company Purcell Kelly in its recently released 2022 APAC Workforce Insights Report, Building Agility with a Contingent Workforce. A contingent workforce includes short-term and fixed-term contractual employees, freelancers or independent contractors, and outsourcing to agencies. The most common reason for adopting a contingent workforce is that it offers flexibility to workforce planning and helps to fill specialised roles without disruptions to operations. Findings from the report also revealed that sectors most in favour of a contingent workforce in Malaysia are IT or high-tech, general administration and marketing. About 44% of companies in Malaysia that are already adopting a contingent workforce plan to expand their usage in the next 2 years. Meanwhile, 69% of companies in Malaysia are likely to reward the contingent workforce the same or better than full-time staff. The impact of the COVID-19 pandemic leading to economic uncertainty and an unprecedented pace of growth in technology have triggered businesses to rethink their recruitment approaches to stay competitive. Indeed, many contingent workers are now highly skilled in specialized areas where they are increasingly seen by businesses as part of the mainstream workforce and not secondary to full-timers. The survey findings implied that companies are leaning towards engaging recruitment agencies to help overcome hiring and sourcing challenges, enabling specialists to do what they're good at, while companies' human resources and other internal teams focus on their core activities. This is most pronounced in Australia, Singapore, India, Hong Kong, South Korea, Malaysia and Vietnam. According to the report, employers are beginning to widen their recruitment approach to tap on new opportunities that the job market has to offer. Across the business landscape, more are now open to exploring non-traditional approaches in order to remain competitive and succeed in today's fast-evolving world. The survey findings involved 1,112 employers and HR decision-makers across 12 markets in the Asia-Pacific, including Malaysia. Health Minister Khairi Jamaluddin has once again called for the bill on youth smoking ban to be passed when it is tabled in the Dewan Rakyat this July. Khairi, in a tweet on Wednesday, said a new law would be a generational endgame to smoking. His posting came with a retweet of a post by local news organisation New Straits Times regarding the smoking ban bill, which reported a survey conducted by a non-governmental organisation for tobacco control. The survey showed the policy was also supported by 95% of the young respondents aged 24 and below, and 89% of smokers and vapers. In March, Khairi said a new law to ban smoking activities and the possession of any smoking products for those who were born after 2005 will be tabled in the Dewan Rakyat in July. These would also include electronic cigarettes or vapes. On February 17th, he announced the introduction of the law aimed at reducing the exposure of future generations to cigarettes and smoking products, as their consumption is a major factor in cancer incidence and accounts for 22% of cancer fatalities. A Singapore court has set April 27th as the execution date for disabled Malaysian Nagaenthran K. Damalingam, who was arrested in 2009 for bringing 42.7 grams of heroin into the city-state. Singaporean human rights lawyer M. Ravi described the ruling as heartbreaking. Ravi said that everything was wrong about the case from the beginning, including the government psychiatrist at the trial who admitted that Nagaenthran suffered from an abnormality of mind. The ruling came a month after Singapore's top court rejected a last-ditch appeal against a death sentence. Nagaenthran was arrested in 2009 at the age of 21 for trafficking heroin into Singapore and handed a then mandatory death sentence the following year. He was originally scheduled to be hanged in November, but the plan sparked criticism due to concerns about his intellectual disabilities, with the European Union and British billionaire Richard Branson among those condemning it. The 34-year-old lodged a final appeal with his lawyers arguing that executing someone with mental disabilities violated international law. It was reported that Nagaenthran supporters had said that he has an IQ of 69, a level recognized as a disability, and was coerced into committing the crime. Police arrested 9 suspects and seized 258 kilograms of shabu and cannabis worth 7.74 million ringgit in 5 separate raids around Kedah and Pulau Pinang on Saturday and Monday. Bukit Aman Narcotics Criminal Investigation Department Director Dato' Ayub Khan Maidin Piche said in the first operation on Saturday at about 2 p.m, police managed to arrest 4 men in Kepala Batas Pulau Pinang and seized 212 kilograms of shabu. He added in the second operation on Monday, 5 more men were arrested in Kulim, Kedah, and 46 kilograms of cannabis were seized. Police also seized 7 vehicles and more than 420,000 ringgit in cash. All the suspects were remanded for 5 to 7 days from April 17th and 18th to assist in the investigation. The case is being investigated under the Dangerous Drugs Act. In other news, Pasir Berdama Assemblyman Terence Naidu was charged at the Bukit Mertajam Magistrates Court in Pulau Pinang on Wednesday with drug abuse, which took place earlier this year. The 53-year-old claimed trial when the charge was read to him before Magistrate Nurul Rashidah Muhammad Akid. The assemblyman was alleged to have administered in himself the methylene dioxymethamphetamine drugs at the Seberang Perai Selatan District Police Headquarters Narcotics Criminal Investigation Office on January 14th this year. He was charged under the Dangerous Drugs Act 1952. The offence carries a maximum 5,000 ringgit fine or maximum 2 years jail upon conviction. The court set bail at 4,000 ringgit with one shorty and fixed May 17th for mention. The Kuala Lumpur Sessions Court has allowed the application of 4 lawyers appointed by the Tunku Mahkota of Johor, Tunku Ismail Sultan Ibrahim, to hold a watching brief in the trial of Rumah Bonda founder Siti Bainun Ahmad Razali, who is charged with neglecting and abusing a teenage girl with Down syndrome known as Bella. Judge Izralizam Sanusi made the decision after lawyer Datuk Khairul Anwar Rahmat informed the court that he and 3 other lawyers had been appointed to hold a watching brief for Bella. The 3 other lawyers are Datuk Baljit Singh Sidhu, Datuk Iqbal Salam and Muhammad Razi Yatiman. On Tuesday, Tunku Ismail made 3 proposals to the government to prevent the recurrence of abuse cases such as the one involving Bella. Bella's case went viral on social media last year when a woman claimed that the teenager was scalded by hot water and was tied while under the care of Rumah Bonda, a welfare home. More local news later in the bulletin, but first, after this breather, Russia sets new deadline for Ukraine troops to surrender. Don't go away. the foreign news. Russia gave Ukrainian fighters holding out in Mariupol a new ultimatum to surrender as it pushed for a decisive victory in its offensive in the east. It made a call for the city's defenders to surrender by 2 p.m. Moscow time on Wednesday and announced the opening of a humanitarian corridor for any Ukrainian troops who agreed to lay down their arms. As the deadline approached, a Ukrainian Marine commander in the besieged city of Mariupol said his troops may be able to hold out for only a few hours longer as Ukraine tried to evacuate 6,000 civilians on Wednesday. Mariupol Mayor Vadim Boychenko urged civilians to leave, saying 90 buses were waiting to evacuate civilians from the city as it had reached a preliminary agreement with Russia on a safe corridor, the highest profile announcement of such a plan for weeks. China's aviation authority on Wednesday has confirmed that the black boxes of a China Eastern Airlines jet that crashed last month were badly damaged, and it was still recovering and analysing the data to help determine the cause. In a statement, the Civil Aviation Administration of China, CAAC, did not make public any information from the flight data recorder and cockpit voice recorder, that was sent to Washington for analysis. According to CAAC, it had completed the preliminary report, which according to international rules must be filed to United Nations Aviation Agency, ICAO, within 30 days. The final report also could take a year or more to complete. The crash, China's deadliest aviation disaster since 2010, killed 132 people. Police have enforced a curfew in central Sri Lanka on Wednesday after the killing of an anti-government demonstrator, which triggered international condemnation just as the crisis-hit country seeks an IMF bailout. It was said that police dispersed the crowd in the town of Rambukana with tear gas and a volley of live rounds that left a 42-year-old father of two dead, with nearly 30 others wounded in the confrontation. Huge protests have demanded the government's resignation, including the Tuesday blockade of a key highway and railway line on the day of Sri Lanka's main petrol retailer announced another sudden price rise. The nation is in the grip of its worst economic downturn since independence in 1948, with regular blackouts, severe shortages of fuel and other goods, as well as record inflation, which caused widespread misery.
Moving on to sports now, football, the DFB Poker Cup. Freiburg booked their berth for the final for the first time in the club's history, following a 3-1 win away to Hamburg.
Freiburg found their opener after just 11 minutes when Hamburg failed to deal with a corner kick, leaving Niels Petersen with a simple header. The visitors doubled the lead 6 minutes later as Nicholas Hoffler's shot took a huge deflection that sent Hamburg's keeper the wrong way before Vincenzo Grifo made it 3-0 from the spot in the 35th minute after Nico Schlotterbeck was fouled inside the area by Moritz. Robert Glatzel pulled one back for Hamburg in the 88th minute, but it was too little too late as Hamburg held on to claim a 3-1 victory and the spot in the final.
Moving on to the Australian A-League, Western Sydney Wanderers held on to beat Newcastle Jets 3-2, an important 3 points as the Wanderers are still chasing a final spot.
Steven Ugarkovic gave an early lead to the Wanderers as he flicked the ball home in the 6th minute before Jack Rodwell scored with a header from a corner kick in the 18th minute to put Western in the driving seat. Ramin Najarin then made it 3-0 3 minutes later with a calm lob, just for Jason Hoffman to pull one back for Newcastle in the 67th minute as he capitalised on a goalkeeping error. Poor defending led to Newcastle's second 9 minutes later, Samuel Severa finishing off Hoffman's cross. Newcastle pushed hard in search for another goal, but Western remained calm till the final whistle to claim a 3-2 win.
Two sisters escaped with minor burns, family home razed. The details when we return. Thanks for staying with us on Nightline. The achievement of Malaysia Pavilion in bagging the Gold Award in conjunction with the Expo 2020 Dubai Pavilion Awards reflects the country's success in delivering on its commitment to sustainability by maintaining biodiversity internationally. Prime Minister Datuk Seri Ismail Sabri Yaakob said the award was also an international testimony of the programs at the Malaysia Pavilion in line with the pavilion's rainforest canopy theme, concept and design.
Datuk Seri Ismail Sabri in his Facebook posting on Wednesday congratulated Malaysia on winning the Gold Award for the Theme Interpretation category hosted by Bureau International des Expositions. The rainforest canopy theme included adopting various natural concepts like waterfalls, vertical gardens and other natural elements. Bearing the theme of energizing sustainability, the Malaysia Pavilion tells how socio-economic progress can happen without sacrificing the environment, with the people building towards a sustainable future.
The operating theatre at the Queen Elizabeth Hospital in Kota Kinabalu, Sabah has been forced to close until Thursday until its electricity supply is stable again. Sabah Health Director Dato Dr. Rose Nani Mudin said that 28 elective surgeries scheduled to take place at the hospital had to be postponed, while other emergency surgeries have been diverted to the Queen Elizabeth II Hospital and the Women and Children Hospital in Likas for the time being.
In a statement, Datuk Dr. Rose Nani said the temporary closure of the operating theatre is to ensure the electricity supply from the generators are sufficient to supply the wards and ensure the intensive care unit is stable. The hospital has been running on its generators after a power outage late Tuesday night, but faulty wires triggered more power failures throughout the hospital. Technicians have been working round the clock to resolve the problems, and backup generators from Sabah Electricity Sendirian Berhad are being used. The power woes at Queen Elizabeth Hospital started early Tuesday morning when electricity supply to the hospital's twin towers, specialist clinics and old medical block were disrupted. 2 old generators were used as backup while troubleshooting works went on. By 8 p.m, power was fully restored in all units, including the intensive care unit, although emergency cases needing critical services were transferred to Queen Elizabeth II Hospital. However, supply to Queen Elizabeth Hospital's operating theatre was disrupted, putting it out of use since noon on Tuesday. Meanwhile, at the Queen Elizabeth II Hospital, a pipe burst occurred early Wednesday morning, also postponing all elective surgeries until further notice. The immediate action was to put in a connecting pipe temporarily while the flooding was cleaned up and the burst pipe underwent repairs.
In Pahang, 2 siblings, one of them a person with disability, sustained minor burns while escaping from their burning house in Pekan on Wednesday. Al-Fadilah Abdul, aged 44, and Nur Shafiqah Abdul, 23, who is the person with disability, suffered burns on their face and legs during the 9:15 a.m. incident. They were sent to the Pekan hospital for treatment. District Police Chief, Superintendent Muhammad Zaidi Mat Zain, said investigations revealed that the 2 victims were among 6 people who occupied the premises. 13 firemen from the Pekan and Peramu fire stations took 20 minutes to control the fire. About 70% of the premises was damaged, with losses estimated around 100,000 ringgit. The Fire and Rescue Department was still investigating the cause of the fire. Former Perak Exco Dato' Asmuni Awi was called by the Malaysian Anti-Corruption Commission MACC to assist in the investigation of the issue of land sale at the proposed site for the construction of the international airport in Sri Iskandar. He confirmed this matter in a brief message via WhatsApp to the media late Tuesday. The media previously reported that 4 former Perak Excos during the Pakatan Harapan administration made a report to MACC on the issue. Among those who made the report, Pasir Pinji Assemblyman Howard Lee Chuan Hao, Sungai Rapat Assemblyman Datuk Sri Nizar Jamaluddin and Simpang Pulai Assemblyman Tan Kar Hing. Last Monday, 13 witnesses were called to assist in the investigation of the case, but no individual has been detained in connection with the sale of the land so far. That's it for Nightline this time around. As we wrap up, let's take a look at the World IT Show 2022, a leading international exhibition for various IT products and services in the Asian market. The exhibition will be held in Seoul, South Korea from Wednesday to Friday. I'm Azaria Tagaya. Thank you for tuning in, and to our Muslim viewers, selamat bersahur.